or I can do. Okay, I'm recording it on the cloud. So I'm going to start letting in people. You will see more people in the join room soon.
Nice.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shogik. I am based in Singapore. I hope you are all doing well. Just a remark, please do keep the microphone muted because we are still waiting for others to join. Thank you so much for joining again. We will wait for participants for about a minute and then we will go ahead and kickstart. Today, we will be talking about how you can increase student engagement in hybrid classroom. Since last year, most schools have obviously changed the way students study and engage, whether virtually or in class or hybrid model. Thanks for joining again. So I will shortly pass it to the panelists. We are today joined by 3 experienced panelists who have great experience in the field and will share what their experience is in terms of hybrid model, whether they have been fully virtual or hybrid or in class. Please do keep the microphones muted and we will kickstart very soon. I think we can go ahead and share our screen. I will share some housekeeping tips for you. So in terms of housekeeping, please do mute the microphones. You can also off your video. And for optimal viewing, please use the side-by-side mode under view options. And you can also put in any questions that you have in chat. We really encourage you to put any questions that you may have and we will get to them by the end of the webinar. And if we don't get to you, we will also give you email address that you can reach out to us. So please do let us know any questions that you may have. We will also record this session, so the recording will be available in a week and we can send it out to you. So by that, again, thank you so much everyone for joining. Today we are going to talk about how you can increase student engagement in hybrid classroom. And we will be joined with 3 experienced panelists. And one of them is Jens, who is the co-founder of Curipod. And with this, I can actually pass it to him so he can start introducing other panelists and kick off the session.
Thank you, Shogik. And thank you everyone for coming today. It's very exciting to see people from all over the world, from Europe, from Middle East, from other parts of Southeast Asia and Asia, APAC in general. So very, very exciting. And as Shogik said, my name is Jens and I'm the CEO and founder of Curipod. So we're making a curiosity platform, and as part of what we do, we also arrange webinars like this. And today we wanted to create a webinar where we invited 2 speakers from different parts of the world to see how to get better student engagement in the hybrid classroom. So first we have Matilda Haraldsen Norman. So she is teaching at the Department of Life Sciences and Health Radiography at Oslo Metropolitan University. So she will be our first speaker. So she's based in Norway, in Oslo. And our second speaker, Doreen Kam from NUS, teaching marketing at the business school there, in the educator track. And yeah, so we're really excited now to see both hear their stories and their insights. And then after they've both presented, we'll have a Q&A session. So feel free as well to drop questions in the chat as we go. And with this, I want to give the word to Matilda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matilda, and I'm a trained RTT. I'm a radiation therapist and a lecturer in radiography at the Oslo Metropolitan University. I will share with you some of my experiences. And now I have host disabled participant screen sharing.
Are you able to share?
No, it seems like it's disabled.
Oh, try again now, maybe.
Yes.
Should work. Perfect.
Yeah. My work is at the Faculty of Health Science. We are the largest health science faculty in Norway. The faculty conducts research and offers study programs relating to a wide range of health professions, and the faculty is home to around 6,000 students and 600 employees. So this is Oslo before COVID-19. So in the spring of 2021, I had 55 students studying to become radiographers. All teaching was digital. Students met teachers and fellow students in the lab 3 times in 4 months. We almost didn't see our students. And due to COVID-19 and increased use of digital teaching on a general basis, the 2 key discoveries from the Norwegian Students' Health and Wellbeing study called SHOT for 2020 and 2021 are really important. 7 out of 10 students consider digital teaching to be inferior or much worse compared to traditional teaching. And 8 out of 10 students report a lack of contact with fellow students and less engaging lectures as the most important challenges. And this was also the challenges I met with my students for my course. I got students who had had a lot of digital teaching and teachers who had to adapt quickly and try to motivate students and other colleagues. So, Curipod is not one pod and one meeting place. We created a place that suited us, and here illustrated by my kid trying to draw a reindeer. Step by step, her product is different, but it's hers, and you can still recognize it as a reindeer. So my experiences was that questions and answers are available to everyone. That's really good. You don't get the same question twice, or you hope you don't get the same question twice. It was really easy to use. I didn't have to train my colleagues or students. They immediately got into it. And questions during the course and in preparation for the exam was really, really good. All my students used Curipod when they were reading before their exams. And maybe this was one of the best things with Curipod during COVID-19. I could see peer-to-peer support, and they really, they had a lot of psychosocial care about each other. So here are 3 examples, and it's in Norwegian, but one of them are saying, really, they're wishing each other good luck at the exam. And you could see a picture of me welcoming the students to the pod, introducing myself. And also one with the students helping each other with information from previous curriculum. So this year I'm going to do some digital teaching, hybrid solution, and physical teaching. And now we are many more people using Curipod and many more students using Curipod. So we are looking forward to see how this will go. I use Curipod before, during, and after teaching. And you can see an examples of my students who have mandatory submissions of posters during their seminars in Curipod. So here you can see, and it's also in Norwegian, so I will translate. I have used tags, so it says group 12. So here are group 12's poster, and they have seminar 8+9 with muscle and sinews. And I also asked them a question in Curipod for them to use. Yes. And then I thought I will show you our Curipod. This is this, Oslo Met's page, and I'm one of the administrators in our project, so I can see all of our pods. And the pod that I was showing you was RAB 1200, which is my anatomy course, and I have 89 members. So if you go to settings in Curipod, you can see all my tags, but I'm going to show you the search function, which I love. So here I have all the groups. So they can go, so group 1 can see what group 1 has posted. And I've also used it in my seminar. So for seminar 8+9, you can see that it's 48 questions. So you can click on one of them. And here you can see one of the groups that's asked the questions and the other students have answered. So yes, that's Curipod at Oslo Met. Any questions?
Thank you, Matilda, for talking about how you use Curipod in student engagement. Very interesting to see how you're using it and see how much you succeed. I think so. Matilda is one of our users with most engagement in terms of students. So she's really a leading star for us, where we're learning from her to further develop the product. So yeah, super interesting to hear your story. So yeah, if there's any questions, just pop them in the chat. If not, we'll also do a sum up in the end. And now for Doreen, I know that you both have different styles of teaching and different things you find important. So now it's going to be interesting to hear how you, Doreen, are working on student engagement in Singapore. I think you are, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I am from NUS Business School. I teach marketing across all levels, from undergraduate to MBAs to as well as executive education. So at the start of COVID, we had to pivot immediately to fully online, which really caught quite a lot of people off guard. And then ever since then, just a semester of fully online, we've moved on to hybrid, and we're still on hybrid simply because our class sizes tend to be larger than 50, and the rules here only allow a room full of 50 at the maximum. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. So we are still fully online, and obviously there are challenges. I will just share a bit of what we do. I am not a Curipod user, and we have our own learning management systems, and we use specifically those. But let's just have a walk through it about what we did here in NUS. Can you see my screen share? Are you able to see my screen share?
We see your screen, perfect.
Okay. So we also did a survey as soon as we got into the pandemic, just to figure out what students were thinking and all. And like Matilda, they all prefer face-to-face learning at the point in time, I would say. The reasons being they felt that it was most inspiring, and also they liked the fact that when they go to class, they have interaction opportunities with their friends, right? They also felt less apprehensive about asking questions in the face-to-face environment. And what came out really strongly was that they felt it was, compared to online, it is so much easier to sustain attention. So they could, our classes go for 3 hours in general for a lesson. So because we have seminar style teaching rather than lectures, so we have about 3 hours for our classes. And in face-to-face, they could be timetabled to have 2-3 hours. Sorry. And they could be timetabled to have 2-3 hour classes back to back, which means 6 hours. Okay, so there could be 10 minutes break between classes. So nevertheless, it's still close to 6 hours of sustained attention needed. So, and when this was converted to online learning or even hybrid learning, it's difficult for them to actually sustain attention for close to 6 hours at home when you have all the distractions going on. So this came out really strongly. So then we also asked for feedback about what was the second best, right? Since we are not able to have 100% face-to-face. So they like the combination of recorded lessons plus live lessons. So mainly they want recorded lessons for the basic stuff, which they felt is the benefit was some of them like to rewatch it. However, we also found that not many people rewatch the lessons. So this is not like a big thing, okay? What they really prefer was live lessons. So even if it's hybrid, they want live Zoom sessions. They like the fact that they could see the professor. Definitely turn your cameras on. Somehow they feel that they don't want to turn on the cameras, but they want the professors to turn on the cameras. They definitely want student engagement. So they wanted to have more breakout room sessions. They don't want it to be so passive and passively listening. They would rather have pre-assigned questions and then come into the Zoom sessions to discuss them with the professor to continue in the seminar mode type of learning as opposed to a lecture type of learning, which recorded lessons tend to be. And certainly they wanted enough time for discussions and questions and answers. And this could be because in our system, one assessment component is dedicated to class participation, meaning to say that it could be 20 to 30% based on how actively they participate in class discussions. This is what we got from the ground. All right. For me, I was quite fortunate where I didn't have to rush because before the pandemic, I was already using the flipped classroom approach. Okay, basically, flipped also commonly known as blended learning, requires a mixture of online instruction as well as face-to-face instruction. So the idea is for online instruction, which would be the pre-recorded lessons, it would be the lower level type of knowledge, basic knowledge and comprehension type of work, which students can do in their own time outside of the classroom. And we save the face-to-face time for much more value-added work that they can't get out of the textbook. The logic is that for us, our students tend to come into NUS with very good grades, which means they are fully capable of reading a textbook and comprehending whatever is in there. So the time for face-to-face is really to make better use of the professors so that they could learn application, they could ask questions and interact with their peers. So my approach towards this was I actually had video lessons, and I'll share a little bit more later about how I strategize these video lessons. And in another module, I also use an interactive ebook that has exercises built into it. So it's not just an ebook to read, but ebook where students can do exercises where they click and drop concepts, where they have videos built in and so on and so forth. This was the interactive ebook was used for a first year undergraduate core course, which had 500 over students. So, the ebook platform suited that purpose very well. And I also built in online assessments so that we could solve the problem of proctoring. Given the large numbers that we have, it was difficult to break the face-to-face tests and have enough invigilators to take care of that. So a lot of the online, the assessments were moved online. I was also using simulations for the higher level classes that I taught, such as the MBAs. So we had business simulations that also took away a lot of the assessment component. And I had a lot of industry-led content, which for my discipline was really relevant, and that's what students really like. So fortunately, before the pandemic, I had already curated a whole library of guest speaker videos with practitioners coming on board to share what they do in their discipline or what they do with marketing in their own company and industry. So all those resources came in very useful. What's good about this whole approach is that the fact that you actually have to record your videos, your lessons, actually, for me, allowed me to improve because you have time to script, you have time to think, you have time to improve on your content. And clearly, along with the videos, I had to map up a clear path for students in their learning because every week there has to be different clear sets of learning objectives for every lesson. So students like the fact that they could learn at their own pace and own schedule. So it need not be confined to that 3 hours within that week. So students could manage, for example, if they could see that in week 6, they have lots of tests coming, they could actually start doing the work for my course in week 5 or even in week 4 if they actually plan ahead. So they like that flexibility. And the fact that we took away the basic teaching out of the classroom meant that there was a lot more time for interaction and collaboration, which was really important to engage them because, as mentioned just now, they didn't like the passive learning. They didn't like just sitting there listening to videos or someone talking over PowerPoint on a live Zoom session. Okay, and with the platforms that I have, I could track their student activity. I'll show you in a moment. And because I could track which questions students tend to do badly in, I can then build my follow-up lessons based on this formative feedback. So based on the areas that a week I spend more time in the next lessons, or I expand on the concept more. So here's some little feedback from the student evaluation exercise that we have at the end of every semester. As you can see, they actually felt that the learning environment was really good, that we were engaging and interactive. It wasn't as what they had expected with online learning or hybrid learning. They liked the fact that they could manage the time, lots of discussions. So even though we weren't in the class full-time, or at least not all the students could be in class full-time, we could have discussions facilitated. Just a bit of a context. Our mode of hybrid means that we have to be I have to be in class face-to-face, and there will be some students in class with me face-to-face, but because of the class size being larger than the 50 that which is allowed, we would have to roster some students to be online. And in addition, some students opt to be online, perhaps for their own health reasons, or they have elderly grandparents at home, whatsoever. We allow them to choose to be online if they want to. So essentially, I'm teaching face-to-face, but I still have Zoom on. I still have to monitor the interactions and the questions or the chats that are going on in Zoom, while I also take care of the people in class. And they particularly like the fact that I structured my lessons in short 15-minute videos. So one week's lesson could comprise of 4 videos or 3 videos, whatever it is. Whatever it is, I kept them under 12 minutes, I would say, I think. And they felt that these short bites were much more digestible. They felt it was easy to complete the videos because they could do it while on a train, they could do it while waiting for someone, or they could rewatch them because it wasn't so threatening as an hour-long video. And yeah, again, repeat that it was better use of class discussion time. So what was the key to success to flipped classroom for me? Obviously, we needed the technology and the facilities. Fortunately, I had the luxury of having a recording studio to film all the videos and all the guest speakers, and having the learning management system to allow us that. But I think in addition to that technology and facilities, managing student expectations is really important. They need to know, if I'm going to turn on this video, what I expect to learn. Because I think what's really easy to happen is they drift off. So if you actually build in the learning objectives at the start, and as well as at the end of the video, let them do a concept check, so that if they had gone off dreaming, they realize that there were concepts that I missed. So this is really important. And then comes the strategy. So for me, before I started producing those videos, I talked to quite a number of students who had attended other flipped classroom modules before. The common complaint is that they don't like talking PowerPoints. So if you do videos of yourself or voice over PowerPoints, they find it really boring. So, that's why my biggest fan is the strategy behind it. What I did is I actually made my videos almost like cartoons, except that, of course, we didn't have the budget for a motion animation film, right? So I actually had freelancers draw avatars for me, and those avatars taught the subject of consumer behavior in their lives. And using that could allow me to easily explain the concept in the context that students could relate to, because the avatars were designed to mimic a young graduate. So it's not so remote and they could see all that's happening. And the other part of it is also using avatars and using drawings allowed me to stay clear of the copyright laws, because in marketing, when I teach face-to-face, I tend to use advertisements, I tend to show stuff in class, but if you can't do that because you infringe copyright laws if you produce them in the video. So therefore, having a freelancer draw things out solved a number of these issues for me. Okay, before I lose anyone, at this point, anybody would like to have any questions? I'm happy to stop and take questions as I go along. Okay, good. So what are some techniques used in the videos? I just mainly emphasize a lot of the personal relevance. So again, having the avatars and, basically putting the concepts into the avatars' real lives, right? Where allowed the students to easily learn and figure out why I should bother learning this. I've talked about clear expectations, right? Okay, and the use of the avatars humanize the theories, and I begin storytelling. So as you can see, right, I'm sure all over the world, you would have heard of this, the rise of TikTok, the rise of content marketing. Why is all this, why are people giving all this so much attention? Because they like stories, right? So using the avatars allowed me storytelling. And so it wasn't just concepts. I told the story from the viewpoint of the two avatars being colleagues who were also potential love interests. And it's funny because we had 13 weeks and 13 installments of videos, right? It was like season 1. At the end of the semester, 3 years running, I had students who actually come to me and ask that I should make one more episode, just not to talk about concepts anymore, just to have a finale about what happened to the two avatars. But
Doreen,
yes,
sorry to interrupt you, but it was a great question here from one of the participants. If you can show one of your videos or show some of the avatars, like, do you have any of that available?
I didn't prepare them because the videos I would. Okay, maybe later when you go into Q&A, I will try to explain that. But essentially, they're just black and white drawings. You know what I mean? They're just right. I could try to see if I have any screenshots of them later when you take Q&A. Good. Okay.
That sounds great.
So, and then aside from that storytelling bit, I use polls. So I would use Poll Everywhere, and there are plenty of such poll softwares. I use polls all the way for MBAs as well as executive education, and they like that because it is much more interactive and it's much more experiential. So it's not just about experiential because I got to participate in the poll, but it's really about how I designed the concept. Let's say if I wanted to show them about a heuristic, a way of thinking, right? A shortcut to a way of thinking. I don't define the bias, but I actually develop a scenario, let them choose the options, and then let them experience that they actually made a decision because of an inherent bias that they're not aware of. So then that way they realize that, oh, okay, this is how we as consumers often are not as rational as we think we are because we have this inherent biases. So that's what I mean by experiential learning, by letting them participate in polls and seeing that this could happen to them as well. Okay, and obviously being marketing, I tie the lessons back to managerial relevance. And what I meant with formative assessment is my learning platform allows me to see, as shown here, which students have participated in the questions, how many correctly answered, and which are the ones that were wrong or had more mistakes. And, so I could then pick up the questions that generally have more errors so that I can then form my next lesson. But what this means, however, is that you have to be very attentive to this analytics, and you have to modify your lessons week by week based on the feedback. So that's it. And then, overall, I can then collect the data. So being, in what I do, I tend to collect a lot of data on my student learning. And so I can tabulate, for example, score versus the time they spend, because this again is captured on the software. And if I were to cluster them, I can easily cluster them into 4 clusters based on these 2 axes. I will be able to identify the people who already had spent a lot of time but still doing badly. So, I offer the opportunity for these people to come in to see me, or offer help to say that, hey, do you want to, chat through or have a consult or whatever it is, right? Yeah, so I think these are the things that comes out of goodness that comes out of having a lot of online, because this is where you get data. Okay, then that was all that that goes on in the out of classroom bits, which actually is the bulk of the learning. Then when they come into class, then it's very much more student-centered. Now that I've really got the basics communicated to them, we now have time to come in to do applications. So, but then again, I don't want the 2 parts of this class to be seen as separated. So what I do is in the videos that I embedded polls, as mentioned just now, and some of these polls are open-ended. And these open-ended polls can then be brought back to the class activities, then where they become discussions. So this is very enriching for them. And as mentioned, games and polls and experiential learning, we do a lot of case studies being in marketing. So I tend to pick case studies which have data, and it's exciting that they get to do a case and that is faced by a real business, right? And so I also allow project topics of their choices, or if where possible, I will involve practitioners. So sometimes I will work with, could be P&G, could be Unilever, or it could even be one of our Singapore Telecommunications. All these are all companies I've worked with, where I invite them to give us a topic, and the students will work towards that at the end of the semester. So students usually tend to be very motivated because they know that they're working on something real. They also are motivated by the fact that at the end of the semester, we have judges from these companies coming in to watch their presentations and judge the quality of their work. So that's work. So that's it for my sharing. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Doreen. That was super interesting, and I love the graph. We were able to see the time spent versus the results, and I mean, yeah, and how you can use the insight to see that there's actually some students who are putting in a lot of effort who are not getting the results they're working towards, and yeah, what can be done then. So super interesting. So I think now we had two great talks, and I'm sure a lot of participants have questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick demo of using the Curipod live Q&A, where you get the chance to ask questions. So I'll share my screen now. And like this. And so the Curipod live Q&A works so that you can, we have some different variations, but you can set a topic, and then all participants get 1 minute to ask questions and 45 seconds to vote. So we'll start it up now. So now everyone can join either by going to the URL here, cherry.live, and entering the PIN 9446, or you can scan it with your QR code. So either join from your phone or from your computer. And this will be a chance to ask questions to the panel. There will be questions to Doreen, to Matilda, or to me, and we'll try to answer the questions you have. So we'll give a little bit of time for everyone to join. See if there's any questions in the chat. Yes, Doreen, great that you're answering the questions there. We have 17, so I recommend everyone to join in. So you get to ask, but also vote for the questions the others are asking. So you can just show the instructions here. So how it will work is that everyone has 60 seconds to ask questions to the panel. And then there is 45 seconds where you'll get up 2 and 2 alternative questions, and you'll vote for one of them. And then we'll display the top 5 questions in the end. And of course, it's a competition of asking great questions here. So if you like it a bit competitive, that's great. And if you just have questions, that is great as well. So I think we'll wait half a minute more, just make sure that everyone gets in. So jerry.live and the pin 9446. I wanted to come in. Okay, so 60 seconds to ask and then vote, and you'll get instructions on your screen on the device you joined on. So I think I'll start now. Nice. And it's 10 seconds left. Cool, 17 questions. So this is quite short and intense, and of course it's possible to have longer time. So now we'll do the voting. So we'll just start. And there we go. Cool. So now we have top 5 questions here. And let's try to go through them. So first one, how do you make sure all students are involved? So Matilda, what's your take on that?
All my students work together in groups, and they have to do a group contracts. So they are monitoring each other. And when I have about 80 students and they are separated into 15 groups, I also have another teacher with me so that we can meet the students both digital and physically when I do hybrid solutions.
Cool. Doreen, what's your take on it?
Well, we can't force all students to be involved, right? Okay, so we actually have an instrument called peer evaluations. So of course we encourage all of them to be, we try to check on them to be, we cold call when we see some students sort of drifting off, but at the end of the day, the students also do the policing amongst themselves because a large portion of our work is project and group-based work. So therefore, the peer evaluation allows the students to evaluate each other's contributions to not only in terms of time, but also the quality of the contributions. So this is made clear to all students right from the start. So basically, they know that they get heavily penalized. In fact, I always tell them that the fastest way to fail a subject is to basically not participate and not be involved, because every class we ask concept check questions, we cold call, or it could be if we're doing a case, I would ask case facts questions even to the people who are not presenting. So we know that everyone comes prepared.
Great. I think I'll answer that quickly also from the point of Curipod, because we're trying to make a software which is really inclusive and involves everyone. So I think one thing we do in general is having this option for students to be anonymous to each other in some contexts. So they're not anonymous to the teacher or the central system, but the option of like the live Q&A now of asking questions in a very low threshold way where you don't have to expose yourself too much. I think that's a good way to include the large part of the student body who are not so easily engaged or not that extrovert and interested in the attention. So, but it's very important, and it's a big challenge. Yeah, I think we have time for one more, which is a very good question. Why hybrid if we can do fully online class? I think both Matilda and Doreen, you touched a bit on it on your presentations, like the student feedback on the fact that they want some physical. But what do you think about it? Should we do fully online or not, Matilda?
I think maybe we can leave it more up to the students, because I divide them into groups. So I tell my students that if they are all attending digitally, they have to, or some of them wants to be in the classroom, they have to show up with their laptops so that they can work together. But due to COVID-19, we saw that many of the students could attend if they could join us in Zoom, and they could do their chores and be together with the other students in a fun way. And when I have digital training with my students, I divide them into breakout rooms, but I allow them to visit each other in the breakout rooms. So it's like a big digital house where they can visit each other. And it also makes it possible for me to teach 80 students. I think it works. But I think the students that wants to come to campus and be with the teacher and see the teacher and are in need for that, they should be allowed to do it.
Interesting. Doreen?
Our school works on a rather different principle. Our dean's quite clear that face-to-face teaching is in the best interest of students. And also students have actually complained when we did fully online, even for 2 weeks, especially the MBA students, because they feel that they have flown all the way to Singapore, paying rent, expensive rent in Singapore, and then have to do online. So they definitely want face-to-face. So our current mode is hybrid, basically giving students the choice. And mainly because our numbers are high and students could be concerned. So we basically do both. And I saw very quickly in the chat, there was a question, what does hybrid mean? My form of hybrid means that I have to be physically in class and teach it in class, but I have to have Zoom on. Students who come to class also have to bring their laptops and have to log into Zoom, because students at home can then be fully aware of whatever is discussed in class. So we have also equipped the classrooms with overhead ceiling mics that can pick up the discussion of the students in class, so that the online students are aware, and there are cameras in the class that where students at home can see what's going on. So there have been a bit of investment in the technology to help us perform this hybrid, even though I would say there's still a lot more room for improvement, but we've got touch screens to write on now because we can't use a whiteboard, so we can do a writing on the monitors now, stuff like that. But yeah, so overall, we do not see us going fully online at all.
Thank you. Interesting. I would love to have time to go through all the questions, but I see we're reaching the end of today's webinar, and I already saw in the chat one person has a new Zoom meeting calling. So I think I just want to round it off a bit. Quickly, I just want to mention, of course, that participants, you can create a free Curipod account and try it out if you're interested. And if you have any questions, feel free to, or want to try it out at your institution or anything, reach out to me at the email jens@curipod.com. And yeah, thank you so much for coming, everyone. And thank you, Shugik and Anna, for organizing. And of course, most important, thank you to Matilda and Doreen for sharing and seeing the different approaches, different softwares, different strategies, everything from using Curipod, which we of course like a lot, but also Doreen with his videos and Flip Classroom and the data. So I think this is something we've all learned a lot from. So I want to say, yeah, thank you to Matilda, and thank you, Doreen, and thank you, everyone. Hope you're all having a great rest of the day, and feel free to contact me. Yeah, I have a question in the how do I start activity to try out Curipod. Of course, I have to answer that. So you can go to curipod.com and sign up. And also, of course, send an email to me if you want to have a chat. Yes, at curipod.com. Okay, you all have new Zoom meetings calling. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.